Okay, so we do have a lot of content today to get through in the next hour. A lot of great content to kick off. My name is Chris Cowett. I'm currently Director of Analytics and Reporting at Emory. I help to co-lead the New York City user group, and this is our March meeting. We have a special edition of this talking all about DataDev. And there's a lot going on with the community, so we have a great lineup of speakers here. We will first be kicking it off with a short intro, going through, if you're new to the group, ways that you can get involved and stay connected. Then we'll be passing it over to Gigi Zanolli. She is a Tableau advocate of the DataDev program and talking us through not only an overview, but certain program updates to the program. Next, we'll be passing it over to Alex Birch. He'll be talking about specific Tableau extensions and how you could connect them and update items in SharePoint. And then finally, if you want to become a data dev yourself, Claire Zhang will be giving us her top tips on how to get involved, how to get started. We look forward to hearing from all of our presenters. We do have some prizes sprinkled in, so be sure to stay till the end to participate in a quiz that we'll be running. And also a couple of housekeeping items. If you do have questions, definitely drop them in the Q&A specific area. You could use the chat, you could introduce yourself or whatnot, but if you do have a question, be sure to drop it in Q&A. It's just a bit easier for us to track all the questions. So with that said, if you are new to the user group, the overall purpose is to connect with other Tableau users as part of the community. It's to share knowledge, it's to be inspired by what you see. A lot of the content that we'll see, I hope that many of you can apply it to your work or your studies tomorrow or in the coming weeks. So what's happening in the community? You'll hear a lot more about this, but if you don't already know, the DataDev Day, specific day, May 20th, almost like a mini conference around the developer program. So Gigi will be talking a little bit more about that. And as a benefit for our New York City Tableau user group, Tableau was kind enough to give us one e-learning license to give away to the group. It's up to a year of learning within the program, valued at $120. So I'm going to quickly toggle over to select that name. We put everyone's name into this system, everyone who registered, and we'll see who wins the prize here. I will say that we will only be giving it to folks who have attended. We want to make sure that said recipient is engaged and wants to learn more. So if you aren't on the call, we will be running this after and getting in touch with you. So let's see what happens. Kyle Z, I happen to know Kyle Z, so we'll see if he's on the call. If not, we'll be spinning a bit later and choosing someone else. So that is the e-learning giveaway. And coming back in, so our typical speech here, if you're interested in hosting, if you're interested in speaking, please let us know at this forum here. And ways that you could stay updated and connected. That's the main link there. You could subscribe there and make sure you get all of the future updates to meetings. Also follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn. So with that, I'm gonna pass it over to Gigi.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. You should be able now to see my screen. Perfect. Thank you again for having me. I'm here today with Flex the T-Rex, that's our mascot. And why I'm introducing Flex the T-Rex is because Flex the T-Rex needs a new home. So if you want to bring Flex home, really pay attention to the talk. So we are going to have a quiz at the end of the presentation where we are going to ask questions based on the talk that we are doing. So if you want to bring Flex home, after 1 year of co-working together, I think it needs a new place. So we will send you Flex if you win the quiz only. On that, let's get started. Thank you again for having me, and let's talk about the Tableau Developer Platform and the Tableau Developer Program. I'm Geraldine Zanolli. I go by Gigi. I'm a developer advocate at Tableau. My personal mission is to enable developers in the usage adoptions of our APIs and developer tools. You might be already familiar with Tableau Desktop, Tableau Prep, all the suite of different products that Tableau offers. And you might be already an expert by building visas and doing animation. You already know all about desktop and prep and all the cool things that you can build on top of Tableau products. But are you familiar with all this suite of APIs and developer tools? Extension API, Hyper API, you might not know about the API itself, but you might be familiar about all the different kind of integration and application that DataDev build on top of a Tableau developer platform. From new connector to games inside Tableau. I don't know if you saw, you can play Mario, Super Mario directly inside Tableau. So you might know all about this integration, but today we are going to talk a little bit more details on some of the APIs, or of all of the APIs that Tableau offers today in the use cases. So let's have a look at the Tableau developer platform as a whole. We categorize all our APIs and developer tools in 5 different buckets. First, we have automation and integrations is every time you want to automate tedious tasks or integrate Tableau with custom workflow. Extensibility is when you want to extend the power of Tableau. Only your imagination is the limit. Advanced analytics is when you want to push the limit of Tableau calculate fields and integrate with Tableau with advanced models such as Python or R. Embedding is when you want to bring Tableau inside your own application, bring the power of Tableau inside your main application. Then, last but not least, data connectivity is when you want to bring data that are not currently supported by Tableau via custom connector or extract connect to them directly inside Tableau. So I like to start this presentation by a journey of a user using Tableau, starting with Tableau. What is the first thing you do when you are using Tableau? I'm sure we'll be in person, you will be, yeah, I know, connecting data. Yes, first thing is you need to connect to your data for using Tableau. So let's talk about connectivity and how does it work if you don't find your connector in the list of native connectors in Tableau. You have 3 options there: Web Data Connector, Hyper API, and Connector SDK. The Web Data Connector allows you to connect to web-based data that are not currently supported, such as Twitter data. If you're on Twitter, you might want to see your tweets, or a different API can be Bitcoin data or any data that are web-based data. Hyper API allows you to create custom scripts that pull your data into a Tableau extracts. When you think about Hyper API, you can really think about the Swiss Army knives. You can connect to any data sources using Hyper API. Connector SDK allow users, developers to build their own native looking connector inside Tableau. Will show up as any native connector inside the Tableau product. But now you have 3 options. How do you pick the one you need to use? What are the different criteria to pick between the Web Data Connector or the Connector SDK? So we have you covered. Let's have a look at the differentiation between the three. So first, what are you connecting to? If you're connecting to web-based data, you will use the web data connector. The connector SDK is now available only if your database has an ODBC or JDBC driver. The Hyper API, remember, the Swiss Army knife connects to any data sources or any API. Which coding skills do you need? Or if it's not you, which coding skills your team needs? JavaScript is required for the web data connector and the connector SDK. With the Hyper API, think Swiss Army knife, you can use a variety of languages from Python to Java. Now that you have your data, how do you refresh? How to be sure that you have the last updated data? With the web data connector, you can use Tableau Server or Tableau Online to refresh your data. For the connector SDK, it works as any supported connector in Tableau. So if you want live extract, you can have it. You have the options. The Hyper API, as I mentioned earlier, you are going to create a script. So you are going to be required to run your code, your script every time you want to query new data. Now, how do you share your work? You build this connector or this script to be able to get the data into Tableau. The web data connector, you can easily share it via a URL to the users. You build the web data connector, you share the URL to the user that wants to connect to the data. The connector SDK, you can package all the files of your work in a taco file. Yeah, trust me, it's going to be the first time you want to share a taco file. You just need to drag and drop a taco file in the right folder, and you have your connector showing up in Tableau. The Hyper API is more challenging to share in the sharing because you have some dependency depending on which data sources you are connecting to and which data you want to get. So it might be more challenging to share this to other users, but it's still possible to share your code with other people that might have the same needs and the same data sources or the same requirement in terms of data. Now you're good to go. You're connected to your data. You are building your dashboard. And you're like, you know what? I want to do more. I'm building it. I have all that. But I want to extend the power of my dashboard. I want to give Tableau new capabilities. Then here again, we have two options for you. The JavaScript API and the Dashboard Extension API. So the JavaScript API lets you embed Tableau inside your application and interact with it. While Extension API enables Tableau user to integrate or interact with data directly or applications directly from your dashboard. So what are the main differences between the JavaScript API and the Dashboard Extension API? For the JavaScript API, when you think about when to use the JavaScript API versus the Extension API, think about what is your main application. Is your main application the websites, your web applications, your portal, or is your main application Tableau? If your website, your portal is your main application and you just want to bring Tableau inside this application, then you want to use the JavaScript API. The Extension API, the Dashboard Extension API is the opposite. You have your dashboard and you want to bring your application inside Tableau. For the JavaScript API, you're going to need a web page where to embed Tableau. For the Extension API, you can use Tableau Dashboard Extension API directly in desktop, Tableau Online, or Tableau Server. Even in public as well, you can use some extension there already. For the JavaScript API, is again, because you are using your main applications, is your portal, is custom built for each embedding scenario and all requirements you might have for your portal. For the Extension API, you can make it generic enough, reusable for other dashboards, not only your dashboard. People can drag and drop it in their own dashboards. I don't know if you've already been on the extension gallery. You can find a lot of different extensions built by developer, shared by developer. You can directly download and use today without any coding. Both require JavaScript skills if you want to get started and build your own. Let's have an example. On the left side, we can see the JavaScript API in actions. We have an agency portal, and what we can see in the middle, the Facebook post performance is a Tableau dashboard running inside the portal. On the right side, you can see this radar chart that is kind of complex to build in Tableau. It's not impossible, but complex. Here's an extension running. The radar chart is an extension, and you can also see from the GIF the two-way communications from the dashboard to the extension and the extension to the dashboard. Now, you're connected to your data. You are building your dashboard. You use some extension or you use JavaScript API to really to do more with your dashboard, to give your dashboard new capabilities. But you are at that step where you want to automate certain tasks. You don't want to go in, add users, or you want to integrate with your workflow so you don't have to go in and actually do something manually on Tableau, Tableau Online, or Tableau Server. One of the most popular API is the Tableau REST API. The Tableau REST API allows you programmatically access to content, users, and sites inside Tableau. Really think about all the things you can do in Tableau Online or Tableau Server. You can basically do most of them. You can do them using the REST API if you want to. We talk about the 3 Ps: provisioning, permission, and publishing. We have various use cases for the REST API. If you are a Tableau Server admin, do we have any Tableau Server admin or Tableau admin on the call? Thank you, Chris. Yes. So that's for you, Chris. So what if you have more and more users on your site? You have to create new users. And you don't want to go in and add manually all the users. You might have first day, you might have 1 user, 2 users, 4 users. But at the end of the day, you have 100 users to add. And it's like, you don't want to go in and add them manually every time you have those new asks. You can automate this task by using the Tableau REST API. So you don't have to do it manually, and you can programmatically add these users for you. Then TSC, Tableau Server Client. If you are paying attention, you might think, okay, is she tricking us because it's the same slide than before? The only thing that changed, like same use cases. That's normal. It's because TSC, Tableau Server Client, is a Python library for the Tableau REST API. If you are a Python user, I really encourage you to get started with TSC directly. It's going to make your life way easier. Then we have Tableau Service Manager, TSM. TSM gives servers, this time Tableau Server Admin Command Line, options for configuring and maintaining Tableau Server. So Chris, you're going to be happy because again, that main use case for TSM are for Tableau Server Admin. If you want to run a backup of your production environment, you can do it using TSM. If you want to have backups weekly, monthly, etc. You, instead of having it to do it every day manually, you can automate that. So you don't have to worry. You will always have a backup there if something goes wrong. The Document API allows you to programmatically modify Tableau files. So the workbook, data sources that you have locally on your laptop or desktop. And you're like, okay, it's only one use case for, I actually need to remove the S here. And that's because we added more and more APIs to the Tableau developer platform, and we had less use case for the Document API. The main use case for the Document API is if you want to change programmatically the data source information on your workbook. If you have one workbook for 10 different data sources and you don't want to go in and edit for the 10 data sources and be like, okay, this one is for data source A, B, C, D. You can do it programmatically, so you don't have to go manually and edit these 10 workbooks manually. Rainbooks allow other services, third-party tools, to respond to events such as user creations that are happening on Tableau. You have numbers of use cases, but one of the most popular we saw on the field is when you want to receive a notification on your messaging system. You know, when an extract is failing, we, as an admin, we get an email saying, hey, this extract is failing. You get 1, 2, 3, like got a lot of emails. But someday I'm using Slack, for example. I don't want to go in my email, check that. And someone's getting upset because the data source is not done, like it's not refreshed. You don't have the last data. So you can get your messaging system to notify you when an extract is failing. So your Slack system or Microsoft Teams. I just like to explain Rainbooks with a drawing because I think it's just, I'm more a visual person. So when you think about, because Rainbooks are really simple, when you think you have your Tableau deployment, can be Tableau Server, Tableau Online, doesn't matter. And you have your third-party tool. In my example, we were using Slack, so imagine a Slack. And Slack is saying, hey, Tableau, tell me when things are happening, when we have a new user, when a refresh is failing. Tableau say, okay, yes, I can do that. Then the event is actually happening, the extract is failing, you have a new user. So what's going to happen? Tableau is going to notify the third-party tool, that is Slack, and say, hey, Slack, I have a new user. And Slack will say, okay, Tableau notified me that I have a new user. And now Slack can do, or each like another third-party tools can do what they need to do. They do the magic. Send you a notification, send you a text message, display a T-Rex image on your screen, wherever you want to, how you want to get notified. The metadata API is our own GraphQL API. So it allows you to understand and have an overview of the different assets that you have on Tableau Server or Tableau Online and how they relate to each other. When you think about Tableau Online or Tableau Server, and also more recently, you have more and more assets on Tableau. You have workbook, you have data sources, you have prep flow, you have calculate field, and they're all linked to each other. You know, like a workbook is connected to a data source and the data source may be linked to a prep flow. They are all related to each other. So how do you understand the relationship between all these different assets? I like to compare all the different assets and how they relate to each other. As a messy family, you have a sister, the brother, the uncle, the sister, the half sister is like a family tree. So the metadata API is going to help you to understand all the different assets that you have on Tableau and how they relate to each other. So if, again, going back, putting my cap of a Tableau server admin, if you are deleting a data source, you are making some changes, you might want to query first with the metadata API and say, okay, if I delete this data source, do I have any workbook that are linked to this data source? Okay, I have 10 workbooks, and one of them is important workbook for the boss. Okay, maybe, you know what? I'm not going to delete this data source, not right now. Embedding. So that's, we already talked about it quite briefly when we talked about extensibility. You have your workbook, but you want to bring Tableau inside your main applications. How does it work? So first, you need the JavaScript API to bring the viz inside your web application, your portal. And you can also see the 2 arrows there that are showing the two-way communication between the portal and the workbook and the workbook to the portal. You also might want to use the Tableau REST API for that to be sure for the thumbnails here, to be sure that if I go to the portal, first, all the users of the portal are already users on Tableau. So you want to have all Tableau users linked, all of the portal user in the portal in Tableau. And also permission-wise, you don't want to show a thumbnail to a new user. And when the user clicks on the thumbnail, it's not actually able to see the workbook. So you might want to display this thumbnails based on the user permissions. So that example of how you can use the REST API in an embedding use case. And sometimes your portal is not actually a portal, it's a mobile app. So you can use mobile app Bootstrap to actually bring Tableau inside your mobile app. And sometimes you don't want to embed Tableau for visualization. You want to let the end user ask their own questions on your data inside your application. For that, you can also embed as data directly in your portal so the end user can ask their own questions to your data without leaving your portal. Now let's talk about advanced analytics, how you can integrate Tableau with advanced model in R or Python. So here's how you can integrate with Python. You need a TypePy server and you need to create calculate fields in Tableau. So once you create a calculate field, you're going to use a specific function that will be where you are going to write some Python script and passing variables to your calculate field. So that's here in the calculate field, we see plan, domestic, minutes used. That's the information you want to pass to the Python script. What's going to happen is that Tableau say, okay, I'm going to pass this information to a TypePy server. And the TypePy server is going to send, okay, that's the data I'm getting back. And then you can visualize this data inside Tableau. It's really useful if you, like, for example, do sentiment analysis on tweets, on messages you're receiving, or any machine learning algorithm that you want to run. Same with R, and you, instead of a TypePy server, you need a rserve package and rserve. So the same, you're going to pass the data and the script, and rserve is just going to process and send the data back to Tableau. Same with MATLAB, I'm not going to spend too much time. And then Analytic Extension API, where you can actually integrate any other programming language or call any web server from there. So now that's a lot of information. I hope you all got. If you have any questions, you can ask it in the chat. I'm just going to spend 1 minute to tell you what's the next step if you want to learn more and expand your knowledge of Tableau developer platform. First, you need to join the Tableau developer program. If you have one thing to remember is developer.tableau.com. You get early access to our APIs. You get a free development site to work on our API. You're also invited to our sprint demos where you can see what's coming next and talk to the engineering team. And you're also joining a members, DataDev's community of passionate people. And be sure to register as well. On May 20th for the DataDev Day, we announced the sessions early, I think on Monday. So we have all the sessions, we have 3 tracks. We're talking about enterprise, beginner data devs, and also tech deep dive. So be sure to register. We also are going to have brain dates and we have a lot of surprises coming up. And actually exclusive information for this Tableau user group. On Monday, we are launching our annual DataDev hackathon. So be sure to register to the program, to the Tableau developer program. If you want to join us, it's going to be 2 months for you to hack on anything you want to. And be sure to do our bingo as well to get to learn new skills. We have challenges from beginner to advanced in different categories. So that's it for me. Thank you for listening.
Great, thank you so much. That was very helpful. I think the #1 question is if folks can get a link to this presentation. I know the recording will be available, but are they able to get the slides from this?
Yeah, sure. I will share the slides with you so you can send it over.
Distribute it. Great, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and yeah, we're gonna hop right in for the sake of time. We're gonna hop right over to Alex.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So how this fits in with Gigi's presentation is she was talking about extensibility, and this is the Tableau extension that is half of the extensibility versus the JavaScript API. If there's one thing that you take away from this presentation, it's this. Tableau extensions can greatly simplify your data workflow. And I'm going to talk about Tableau extensions, SharePoint lists, and why I think that they pair well together. First of all, there are people on this call who have already deployed a plethora of Tableau extensions, and there are other people who are listening or who are hearing about Tableau extensions for the very first time. And there's a wide variety in ways that we can learn about this. We can go from as low level as hands-on workshop, all the way to a high level of art of the possible. This presentation is going to focus on the art of the possible. If you have questions about implementation details about SharePoint and Tableau extensions, please feel free to email me at alex@birch.life. I'm a full-time employee. I'm a full-time father, so I don't have a lot of spare time, but what I have, I'm glad to share with whatever resources that I have. The next thing are going to be the images used throughout this presentation. The first one is the application that here represents it. And applications frequently talk to each other over the internet with REST or REST APIs. You may hear that throughout. If you're not familiar with it, don't worry about it. It's just how applications talk to each other in modern applications. Tableau extension. This has the T-Rex, and this is an application. This is custom code that you can write, or it could be somebody else's. SharePoint. This is Microsoft's go-to intranet portal. A SharePoint list is going to be differentiated from SharePoint, and it is a component within SharePoint. So if I say SharePoint list, or you see this icon, it's different than SharePoint itself. It's a component of it. And then a data source. This is the typical Tableau data source. It's anything from a database to a flat file. And here's the Tableau extension ecosystem. The user interacts with Tableau, gets data from the data source. What's nice is the Tableau extension itself can interact with a custom application. So this could be SharePoint, this could be your internal custom developed software. It can be anything. And then the application can interact with the data source. It can update it. It can read data from it. It completes the workflow for you. We've used the term Tableau extension frequently. A Tableau extension is made up of three things. First, the manifest file. And the manifest file extension is a T-Rex. The next is HTML. This is the UI of the extension. And lastly, the JavaScript file. And the JavaScript file is where you put your application knowledge. The most important thing about the Tableau extension is it's really a missing piece within a workflow. Frequently, you'll start hearing yourself or coworkers ask questions such as, how can I update the data without leaving Tableau? How can I create a persistent comment or annotation without leaving Tableau? If you start hearing these things where you want to update the data or do something more than what you do with Tableau out of the box, Tableau extensions may be the right fit for you. Now you may be wondering why I'm presenting this with Tableau extensions and SharePoint. The reason why I feel that they pair well together is that Tableau extensions, they need a hosted HTML and JavaScript file. SharePoint can host HTML and JavaScript files. Tableau can use RESTful APIs to update and read data. SharePoint has a RESTful API to read and update data. The Tableau extension itself cannot store data, but SharePoint lists can store the data. So it pairs pretty nicely. Another reason for SharePoint lists are that most large corporations already have SharePoint. It's easy to request a SharePoint site. It's minimal cost back. SharePoint lists are like a web version of Access in my mind. You can add new fields easily. It has a front-end UI for it. It's pretty easy to use. And most importantly, SharePoint already has a custom out-of-the-box RESTful API. Now, let's jump into a real-life example. We had a migration with 150 data streams. Each one of these data streams had 8 different steps that it could be in. And on each data team, there were 5 people working on it. And one of the 5 people was an application developer, and they were from one of the 12 different teams. So there's a lot of combinations out there. Unfortunately, we needed a strong data reporting framework, but we didn't have any budget for it. We couldn't even buy anything from the Acme catalog. So the initial setup was that the project manager set up Excel, put out the Gantt chart, and tried to track all the different data streams that way. However, the rest of the team also had copies of the Excel spreadsheet, and they were updating it. Much like rabbits in the wild, Excel worksheets within the corporate environment tend to multiply and spread, and you get more until you're left with chaos. So we had to walk this back so that we could get the reporting and the information that senior management needed. The first thing was creating a single point of truth, one site or one location that had all the data. The project manager could update it, and everyone else could update it concurrently. This was powerful. And then what you can do with this is you can do the typical Tableau report workflow, where you have Tableau connecting directly to a SharePoint list, and the project manager can do all kinds of reports, can slice the dice in Tableau. The only gotcha is if when the project manager is doing the data reporting, and he finds 3 data streams that need to be updated, he'll have to manually go into SharePoint to update each one of these SharePoint list items. Thanks to Tableau extensions, this is very similar to the previous slide, except now we can have the Tableau extension there, and the project manager is able to update those 3 data streams without leaving Tableau. The project manager can focus and can be in the flow without having a million different tabs open on their desktop, trying to figure out which is the right one to update. So the result of this, Tableau extension was that we got a tailor-made data solution at a clearance rack price. So you may be asking yourself, what do you need to know or learn in order to create an extension? The first is a knowledge of HTML and JavaScript. I believe Claire is going to discuss more resources about this, so please stay tuned to her presentation. It takes 4 to 8 hours to get a meaningful Tableau extension, something that's beyond Hello World or just starting one of the samples that Tableau has published on their GitHub page. If you want to find out more about the SharePoint JavaScript documentation, you can go to this link, spjs.birch.live. You can also go to Tableau extension documentation. This just redirects to their GitHub page. In summary, Tableau extensions really are the missing piece for a lot of data workflows, and it allows you to maintain the flow. That way you don't have to go to 3 or 4 different applications. You can have it embedded within the Tableau workbook. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at alex@birch.live. I would like to acknowledge Lee and Chris. They both helped and refined this presentation. And thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Great, thank you, Alex. Yeah, anyone questions, be sure to drop them in the Q&A. I know that Alex, I have definitely been there before, multiple versions of Excel, and wondering which one is the latest version. So I get the value there. All right, well, just a Q&A, a generic Q&A question came in. How can we learn more about SharePoint lists generally?
You can go to Microsoft's webpage. They have a lot of information about SharePoint lists. And if you go to spjs.birch.live, it will automatically update that. I don't have an example right now. Sorry.
You're able to read that last one, right?
Oh, yes. So yes, the SharePoint code, Neil, the SharePoint code was custom, but if you look at the example that is in on the Microsoft webpage, that's the basis of it. I started with a copy and paste from that and refined it for my needs.
And for the group, the question was, are most of the JavaScript SharePoint codes you use custom codes, or are any of them shared in GitHub or community forums? Okay, great. I think we'll close there and move on to our next speaker. If any more come in, we could hop back on, Alex, if we have some time at the end. So with that, we are gonna pass it over to Claire. I'm gonna share my screen again. Okay, should be loading.
All right, hello everyone. Thank you, Chris and Gigi, for inviting me over to the user group. This is actually my first Tableau user group, so it's very pleasure to be here. And I just want to say, wow, that was a very powerful use case you presented. I personally didn't use SharePoint, and if some of you today is the first time you heard about DataDev or you was overwhelmed by all the Tableau APIs that we have currently, don't worry about it. I think I will use the next couple of minutes to talk about my experience on how I became a data dev with actually zero background in JavaScript programming. And I will also share my top tips with you guys. So hopefully with us presenting here today, it will help you guys get your foot in the door much quicker. So before I dive into my tips and suggestion, I would like to quickly introduce myself. So my name is Claire. I am a business analytics manager at StreetShares. So StreetShares is a fintech startup. We provide all digital banking solutions for credit union and community banks. I've been using Tableau for about 2 years. I have loved it ever since I started using it. So I was actually started my data developer journey with a problem I was facing at work. I was working on a project that required me to embed a dashboard into a web application with certain add-on functions. So it really can deliver a seamless experience when my client log on to our portal. While I was looking to learn about like embedding and how to use JavaScript API, I actually came across the mini challenges last year that was also hosted by the Tableau developer program. So in those mini challenges, they were addressing the common challenges I was also facing at work. And I decided to actually participate in several of the mini challenges. And after that, I actually got connected with the Tableau DataDev team. So with that being said, I'm going to actually share my top resource and my top tip with you guys. So Chris, if you can go to the next slides, please. Okay, so for the first foremost, I think Gigi already mentioned that Tableau have a very powerful DataDev program. So I think it's definitely very important if you're like interested in learning more how to use Tableau API. Definitely joining the program will be very useful for you. And we also have a Slack group that is dedicated to the DataDev as well. There are hundreds of people there, but don't get intimidated by the people, right? If you're still a beginner, we do have a channel that is also for newbies. So feel free to ask any question if you are like interested in learning more about it. Secondly, I do want to mention there is a GitHub page that includes all the mini challenges from last year. It has all the tutorial from the mini challenges. I think the best way that you can learn how to use Extension API is by watching and learning from someone else's code, right? Nobody codes the same, so it's always good to learn from a different perspective. And third, if you are like me, have no JavaScript programming experience, I personally took this Udemy course last year while I was doing the mini challenges. I think this course definitely give you a very good foundation on how to use JavaScript. It didn't really cover the Tableau APIs at all, but once you have a great foundation built, you can actually go to the developer program or watch a lot of different workshops or on the YouTube. And you know what? Google is always your best friend, so there's always tons of learning opportunities on the YouTube out there. And while I was giving you all those resources, you can sit on that. I think the best way is actually for you to start coding yourself if you have no experience before. So Gigi already mentioned this year we have a new bingo challenges. I also decided to participate in the challenges. I will start posting my work process, my script with you guys every other 2 weeks. So if you are interested in learning and coding this, so feel free to join the Slack channel. I will post it there as well as on my Twitter as well. So last but not the least, here are my top 3 tips. So I think always be learning, always be coding, and always be building will definitely guide you through your early journey in the data dev world. And once you start coding, I just want to say the sky is really your limit. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'm excited to see you guys in the community. So
Great. Thank you so much for that, Claire. Really appreciate it. I hope it was of value to our participants and attendees. I'll give it maybe a couple seconds for people to drop in Q&A if any is out there. And I see that Gigi dropped in some helpful links as well as what you see on the screen here. Great. So I'm not seeing anything specifically come through, but if they do, we'll circle back if we have time. So appreciate that. Okay, and as mentioned at the front end of our meeting, we're going to have a Kahoot quiz. Gigi has put together some questions all around data dev, and I believe the prize is getting their very own T-Rex. Is that?
Yes, my new coworker needs a new home.
Very, very cute. Okay.
We will send you some data dev swags as well, not just the T-Rex, don't worry.
Great. All right, so. All right, if you haven't used this before, You can either type into your browser kahoot.it and then enter that game pin. If you have the app, you could go in through that as well. We'll wait for a bunch to come in here. We have a little more than 50 attendees here. T-Rex is staring us down.
Always there.
Yeah, and I need to show off more of my shirt here. I was just able to find it in time for the meeting. Oh, Chris Kawa. Oh, that's interesting. Some alias out there. All right, I think hopefully everyone was able to get on. Give maybe 10 more seconds. 20. All right, good. More. Okay, I'm gonna go, in the interest of time, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay. Tricked them with the racks.
So flex is because T-Rex is doing yoga because we are API and developer and we are flexible. So it's why his name is Flex.
Skylar. Hey. Tableau REST API. RJ coming up. What is happening May 20th? Answers coming in quick. DataDev Day, May 20th. Okay. What is a doc taco? Packages connector built with the Tableau connector SDK. All right, Skylar and others making their way up. What are the benefits of joining the Tableau developer program? RJ still holding strong. Where can you embed Tableau? Blog, customer portal, Salesforce, all of them. Question 7 of 12. What can you find in the Tableau extension gallery? T-Rex arms extensions, dashboard extensions, and connectors created and supported by Tableau partners. It doesn't exist, or scripts.
I like how someone's answer the T-Rex arm extensions.
That's Ooh, a multi-select. Okay, if I want to analyze data coming from the new Twitter API, which Tableau API's developer tools should I use? Hyper API, Web Data Connector, Connector SDK, Dashboard Extensions API.
I think there's 2 answers here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, this one might throw me off. Okay, yeah, Hyper API and Web Data Connector. Will A, taking the lead. Every time an extract is failing on Tableau, I want a ServiceNow ticket to be opened. Which API should I use? Should you use the REST API, Metadata API, Webhooks, or Connector SDK? Webhooks. RJ taking the lead back. Talking about the Tableau REST API, we also talked about the 3 Ps. What are they? Provisioning, permissions, and publishing. They were
Nobody thought it was pizza, potatoes, and
right. I want to find out how many calculated fields I have on Tableau. Which API should I use? Very good application. You can see a lot of use of that. Analytics Extensions API, Dashboard Extensions API, ESC, or Metadata API. Metadata API. Last question. How can I add a new programming language as a calculation engine to Tableau? Analytics Extensions API, Metadata API, Dashboard Extensions API, or I cannot. Analytics Extensions API. All right, let's see the top 3. Min Yang, Nay, Will A. Congrats. Runners up. Oh, I'm sorry, I was saying RJ or RG. So awesome. Thank you everyone for joining. I hope that was fun and exciting. We'll be getting in touch and Gigi will be sending you some swag. So appreciate that. It is right on right at 6, and we don't have any other questions, but this presentation has been recorded. It will be uploaded to YouTube, and we'll get a notice of that from Tableau in the morning, and we'll share that around. So again, thank you all. Thank you to all of the presenters, all of our participants, and we look forward to seeing you at a future event. So thanks, everyone.